You know that moment. Not the crisis itself. The crisis is over. It's the silence right after. The apartment has gone quiet. The group chat has stopped buzzing. The family has dispersed into their own rooms. You're sitting somewhere, maybe in your car before going inside, maybe on the edge of your bed, maybe just standing in the kitchen staring at nothing, and you realize you don't feel relief. You don't feel proud. You don't feel much of anything. You feel hollow, like someone unplugged something and the power just drained out through your feet. A few hours ago, you were the one holding everything together. People were looking at you. You were making decisions, saying the right words, keeping your voice steady. Someone said, "I don't know how you stay so calm." And you almost believed it yourself. But now, in the quiet, the person who did all that doesn't feel like you. That person feels like someone you borrowed. Someone who shows up, handles things, and then disappears before anyone can ask how they're doing. And the strange part is, this isn't the first time. When something breaks, you're the one who goes still. When the news is bad, you're already thinking 3 steps ahead. When everyone else is panicking, something in you clicks into place. Your voice lowers. Your mind goes clear. People lean on you. And you let them. Then it's over. And the crash comes. Not immediately. Sometimes it takes a day, sometimes a weekend. But it comes. You can't sleep. You don't want to talk. Someone texts you, "You were amazing," and you can't even reply because you don't feel amazing. You feel empty, and you don't know how to explain that without sounding ungrateful or broken. You've probably told yourself you're just the stable one. Someone had to stay calm. Those explanations aren't entirely wrong. But they stop you from asking the deeper question. If being calm were truly natural to you, the aftermath wouldn't feel like this. The emptiness wouldn't keep showing up. You wouldn't dread the quiet moments after the crisis more than the crisis itself. Something else is happening. There's a pattern underneath all of this, and understanding it won't fix you overnight, but it will give you a clearer picture of what you've actually been doing to yourself every time you hold it together. Here's what happens inside your mind when a crisis begins. You don't just react, you run ahead. In the first few seconds, your brain starts generating every scenario. All the ways this could go wrong, all the worst outcomes, every variable that could collapse. You see them in vivid detail. You feel the anxiety of each one in your body, the tightness in your chest, the cold wash through your stomach, the way your jaw sets without you telling it to. This looks like worrying, but it's not just worrying. It's a form of emotional payment. By imagining the worst, you're burning through the fear in advance. You're exhausting the panic before the moment asks for it. So when the real thing unfolds, you're already spent, emotionally pre-drained. That's why you look calm. It's not that you're naturally steady, it's that you've already paid for the panic, and now you're running on a cleared balance. The calm you feel isn't free. It's purchased, and the currency is your own emotional energy, spent before anyone else even knew there was a problem. Think about the last time you got bad news at midnight and had to tell someone else by morning. You didn't sleep. You lay there in the dark, running every version of the conversation, feeling every possible reaction before it happened. By the time you opened your mouth the next day, you'd already lived the worst of it. You were calm, you were clear, you were useful. But every payment leaves a record. And the bill doesn't disappear just because the crisis is over. The exhaustion you feel afterward isn't random. It's the delayed recognition of what you spent. The insomnia, the numbness, the sudden urge to isolate, the crying that comes from nowhere 3 days later over something small, a song, a memory, a dish left in the sink. These aren't separate problems. They're the same transaction completing itself. You prepaid the calm. Now you're experiencing the withdrawal. And this is where it becomes quietly damaging. Not because the strategy is wrong, but because nobody is tracking the ledger. You keep showing up as the reliable one. People learn to expect it. They call you first. They trust your calm. They thank you in passing. You're so strong, I don't know what we'd do without you. And then they walk away, relieved, lighter, assuming you're fine because you looked fine. You always look fine. But no one is there when you're sitting alone in the dark, working through the debt. No one notices you've become the designated absorber of everyone else's chaos, the one who takes the late-night call, who organizes things while others fall apart, who stays steady in the group chat, and that the cost of that role gets paid entirely in private, entirely by you. Over time, something stranger begins to happen. You start to lose track of yourself. The version of you that handles emergencies becomes so practiced, so reliable, so socially rewarded, that it starts to feel like a separate person, a machine you inhabit. And the softer, tired, ordinary version, the one who needs rest, who wants to be asked how they're doing, who sometimes just wishes someone would sit with them without needing anything, gets pushed further and further into the background. You become excellent at being useful, and progressively worse at being known. The loneliness of this is specific. It's not the loneliness of having no one around. It's the loneliness of being surrounded by people who genuinely appreciate you and still feeling unseen. Someone hugs you after the crisis and says, "Thank you," with real gratitude in their eyes. And then they turn and walk back to their life, lighter, and you stand there, heavier, watching them go. No one asks what you're carrying. The hardest part to accept is this: the strategy works. That's why you keep doing it. Dismantling it entirely isn't the goal, but you can start seeing the cost for what it is. That crash after every crisis, that's not a failure of your coping. It's the repayment clause of a system that worked exactly as designed. The exhaustion is not evidence that you're weak. It's evidence that you borrowed emotional stability from your future self, and your future self is now settling the account. You're not bad at handling things. You're very good at a strategy that charges interest in private. None of this makes you a fraud. You are not pretending to be strong. You are strong. But the strength is a transaction you keep performing, and every transaction costs you something real. Seeing this clearly can change something small but genuine. Not the way you act in the moment. That part might stay the same for a while, and that's okay. But the way you meet yourself afterward. Next time you come home to the quiet and the emptiness settles in and you feel that familiar hollow ache where relief should be. You might not need to ask what's wrong with you. You might recognize what's happening. You might say to yourself, "The bill arrived, that's all." You were the calm one again today. You held the room. You kept things from falling apart. That took something from you. It always does. You don't have to stop doing it. You don't have to fix it tonight, but you can stop pretending it was free. You can turn around just for a moment and look at the person who carried all of that, and actually see them. They're tired. They've been paying in silence for a long time, and they could really use someone noticing, even if that someone is just you. If this is the kind of seeing you want more of, subscribe. There's more here for the person who's usually too busy holding things together to be held.